Militias and their Minutemen played a key role at the beginning of the American Revolutionary War, the American War of Independence. On April 19, 1775, this war was sparked at what is known as the Battles of Lexington and Concord. The first shots were fired just as the sun was rising at Lexington. 8 militiamen were killed, as well as 1 British soldier. This began an outbreak of armed conflict between the Kingdom of Great Britain and patriot militias from America's 13 colonies. These battles were fought in Middlesex County in the province of Massachusetts Bay, within the towns of Lexington, Concord, Lincoln, Menotomy, and Cambridge. At the North Bridge in Concord, approximately 400 militiamen engaged 100 British soldiers at about 11 a.m., resulting in casualties on both sides. The outnumbered British fell back from the bridge and rejoined the main body of British soldiers in Concord. More militiamen continued to arrive from neighboring towns. Gunfire erupted again between the two sides and continued throughout the day, as the combined force of about 1,700 British soldiers marched back to Boston under heavy fire in a tactical withdrawal, and eventually reached the safety of Charleston, just north of Boston. The accumulated militias then blockaded the narrow land accesses to Charleston and Boston. This began the siege of Boston. These first battles were a victory for the Americans and resulted in an outpouring of militia support for the anti-British cause. During colonial America, all able-bodied men of a certain age range were members of the militia, depending on each colony's rule. Individual towns formed local independent militias for their own defense. The year before the U.S. Constitution was ratified, the Federalist Papers detailed the Founding Fathers' paramount vision of the militia in 1787. The new Constitution empowered Congress to organize, arm, and discipline this national military force, leaving significant control in the hands of each state government. Minutemen, or minute companies, were part of the militia of the province of Massachusetts Bay. The name Minutemen comes from the idea that they would be ready to fight within a minute's notice. Unlike the general militia, which was made up of all able-bodied men between 16 and 60, the 2 companies of Minutemen were made up of young volunteers who were paid 1 shilling and 8 pence for their time. They drilled 3 times a week. The other difference between the general militia and the Minutemen was how officers were appointed. In the general militia, officers were appointed by the governor as a political favor, and officers of the Minutemen were elected by their peers. By 1775, Concord, Massachusetts had 104 Minutemen in 2 companies. The sculpture of the Minuteman was created by Daniel Chester French, located in Minuteman National Historic Park in Concord, Massachusetts. It was created between 1871 and 1874, and it was cast in bronze from 10 Civil War-era cannons. The statue is 7 feet tall and depicts a Minuteman at the Battle of Concord. It is perhaps a portrait of Isaac Davis, an officer who died in battle. The farmer-turned-soldier is shown trading his plow for a musket and stepping away from his private life toward the impending battle. Sleeves of his coat and shirt are rolled up. The Minuteman's overcoat is draped over the plow. A powder horn rests against the man's back. His face is alert while his eyes are transfixed on the battle into which he is ready to march.